So at what point did you actually start getting into the studio?
This was around the time I met Kurt. I forgot his last name, but he owned the record label that Rob Bass was on. And he used to always call me to the studio. And then at 11, 12, I was trying to join a band. And there's this band that played across the street in the basement. And I didn't know that there was more than a band. They were street guys. Well, some of them. And, excuse me. I went over there and I had my Casio. My mom had just bought me a Casio. And I took the Casio over and they thought I was playing. I said, could I join your band or can I play for you and you guys can, tell me how I am. And they kept saying, Shorty, get out of here. You can't play. And I said, if you guys give me a shot, he was like, Shorty, we practicing. I mean, you can watch us, but, we're practicing. So I kept going. And I went every day that I could. At times my mom would let us, because I used to get on punishment a lot. So sometimes I can't go outside. But the times I could, I would go back to that basement. And when I went back to that basement, finally, they gave me a shot, and I said, because I found out the keyboard player quit. And they still had the instruments there, and I thought, sometimes people get in arguments, and it's like, all right, I'll quit. And then they come back. Well, I went over there, and I said, your keyboard player quit. Would you guys give me a shot to, play with you? And they said, Shorty, all right, we're going to give you a shot. But if you can't play, we're going to take your Casio.
Oh.
I said, okay. Now, by then, I was learning every song my mom put on the doggone record player, and I'm learning all these chords, but I'm on a little small Casio. So it's like, okay, come in. I met the band. And they said, okay, we're going to get started. I took my Casio over, put it on top like I'm going to play my Casio. He said, no, Shorty, give us the Casio. You're going to play this keyboard right here. And it was a Fender Rhodes. And it was big keys. My hands small, so I said, okay, can y'all give me a minute? I want to figure out the keys and everything, see if I can play it, because it was heavy keys. So I looked at it and I started playing. I was like, okay, so what's the first song? And the first song was Reasons. And I said, thank God I know this song. And because my mom used to play Earth, Wind & Fire, everything, James Brown, but Jimmy Reed. So we went to get started. They counted it off and it's like 1, 2. Now, mind you, I have small hands. I had to do everything with 2 hands instead of, how I play now.
Mm-hmm.
So 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom, boom, boom. Da, 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 boom, and these guys are like, oh, Shorty do know how to play. And that's what, so I'm not looking at them because I don't want to mess up. But my peripheral is like, okay, they're impressed. So we got through that song, played the second song. And it was the Luther Vandross song, the one he made with the group Change before he became solo artist. It's All My Love. Bang, 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 bang. So I'm playing that with them, and they're like, so after everything, they was like, Shorty, you go to school? I said, yes, I go to school. I have to. And what do you do after school? And I said, well, I go to do my homework and watch cartoons or go out and hang out with my friends. He's like, well, can you come some days and practice with us. And I did. And that's where I got the first look. The cousin of Kool and the gang, Royal Bayan, was coming down, and also Gene Griffin was coming down to the basement because Gene Griffin would get his car wash. And then another gentleman by the name of David Hyatt, he would get his car wash, and they both had Porsches. Gene had a red Porsche, and David Hyatt had a blue Porsche. It was a navy blue Porsche. And I was like, wow, these guys are, I was so fascinated with cars, but I was more fascinated in being in this band. And Royal Bayan noticed me. And he said, little man, you have what it takes to be to be in the music business, and you should find yourself a band more your age. And I did. I met Timmy Gatling, one of the singers of Guy, the original.
Right.
And when I met Timmy, Timmy had he had two brothers. They were twins. And we also had another singer, Clarell Henderson, who was like the Michael Jackson. He had the high voice. And Timmy was more of a Jermaine because he played bass. And we were just trying to mimic the Jacksons. And I was the fifth player and playing keys with them. And we did junior high schools and elementary schools. We played, and we were asked, could we play for the school at their assemblies? And they let us play. And that's how, I stuck with them, but I still was going down to the basement because Royal would come there. And we didn't have a place to rehearse. So I would always still go there and play with that band. So I was in two bands at 14, going on 15.
And Kids at Work, that was the group with
That's Timmy
Gatling. Yeah.
Timmy
exactly.
and Clarell.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. And I think right around that time, that was when Busy Bee battled Kool Mo D.
Yeah. I used to.
You saw that?
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah.
Actually, that was the part where I got into the streets. And I was hanging out with some guys from 119th Street, which is 3 blocks from Harlem World, the actual club. And we used to, after school, I would disappear, play with the band for a few, and then go downtown and hustle. So meanwhile, hustling, it wasn't all about just staying on the streets. We would go to Harlem World. We would go to different clubs that was down there, or house parties, and, never started any trouble. We just liked to have fun. So we would go to Harlem World every Friday, Saturday sometimes. And I happened to be there when Kool Mo D and Busy Bee was battling. I happened to be there when Larry Love and Loose Bruce and Cold Crush, Funky 4+1 More, Disco 4, and Dougie Fresh.
Yep.
So then I was a fan, not knowing that later on I'll be going to school, the same school as Dougie Fresh.
Right. And I mean, and that battle, Busy Bee and Kool Mo D, I felt was sort of like the turning point in hip hop.
Yeah.
Because Busy Bee was the party guy, the party raps and so forth. Kool Mo D was a lyrical guy. And when that battle happened, it was like, oh, okay, now this is the next level of hip hop with Kool Mo D.
And let me not forget, Lovebug Starsky was there, and DJ Hollywood, who's one of my, big bros. He will always look out for me. Hollywood and Starsky. Actually, before he passed, I took a picture with him 2 weeks before he passed.